Good morning, everybody. Dobre utro, ohayo gozaimasu, bonjour. It's time for answers. It's time for quoi. And once again, my ring light is exceeding all expectations. And yes, that is a raven. Every sport's a little bit different with their age regulations. In figure skating, you have to be 15 years old to compete at the Olympics, but you can compete as long as you want. Whether you're competitive or not, it's a different story. But we look at athletes like gymnast Oksana Chusovitina of Uzbekistan going for her 8th Olympics next summer at 45 years old. On airplanes, your skin gets really dehydrated, so I drink a lot of water. I drink like a gallon of water a day anyway. But I slather up with Radiant Multi-Repair Oil from Clé de Peau. And throughout the flight, I like to use Chantecaille Pure Rose Water Spritz. A life in the spotlight isn't necessarily a certainty for Olympic athletes once the Olympics are over, and I'm so proud that career-wise, I've been able to try so many different things in entertainment, because for me, the most important thing as an entertainer is to make people smile and make them happy. And I'm obviously really proud of my broadcasting career, all the different TV shows I've been on. I wrote a book about my life. I was the global face of MAC Cosmetics for a spell. All those things make me proud, but as a human, my proudest moment is when I bought my first house. I was supposed to go to Moscow in September for a little working holiday, and that's been canceled, obviously. But all politics aside, Russia is a very important place to me. I've competed there, toured there, trained there a lot at the end of my competitive career, and it's just a culturally very important, inspiring place to me. I'm just as flawed as everybody else, so I've made a million mistakes, whether they're personal or professional. And instead of regretting them, I try to learn from them and learn from my mistakes. And always remember, you can't put toothpaste back in the tube. You can't fix what you've already done, so fix who you are moving forward. In recent years, my family has started roasting a whole beef tenderloin. I'm not vegan, sorry. But we roast a whole beef tenderloin and it's delicious. And then as far as desserts go, wow, I mean, like Southern chocolate pie. Just looking at this question gave me anxiety. I'm that person, I hate my phone. And I'm that person that will just like leave it in a drawer for a whole day and forget that I have it because I hate it so much. I have no notifications, no sounds, nothing on the phone. And I have to turn the percentage thing off because it gives me anxiety. Every sport requires something really different from the human body, and then it comes down to the individual maximizing what you've got and making it work for you in that sport. And for me, it's gonna sound really harsh, but I was eating a protein and a vegetable that had to fit in the palm of my hand once a day. Oksana Bayul was the skater who got me inspired to even try skating in the first place, but then once I was actually in that world, the skaters I most admired were Yevgeny Plyushenko and Irina Slutskaya. I loved watching them on TV, and I always felt super inspired for my own training after. NBC doesn't cover the Canadian Figure Skating Championships, but if there's an international event happening in Canada, of course we commentate it. And luckily we share a very long border, and NBC does translate to Canadian homes, so you can always hear what me, Tara, and Terry. NBC doesn't... Well, first of all, I prefer to skate alone. I feel more free and inspired when it's just me in the ice, but for practical reasons, unfortunately I get a lot of threats against me, so I train completely alone with locked doors for safety purposes, and my rink has been really understanding. I actually have a performance next Saturday, and it's more of a private event, so it can be socially distanced and completely safe for everybody, which is why I'm not going to promote it here. But that's why I've been back on the ice so hardcore already right after Dancing with the Stars. But after the performance, I'm going to give my body a little break. Если я вас честно говорю, я люблю shopping. This question asks if I prefer hunting or fishing, and I prefer shopping. Imagine me hunting. Oh, please, Edward Cullen from Twilight, please, Robert Pattinson, glitter body when he goes in the sun. You know, by like the third movie, I was a little bit over the angst, but always and forever. Obviously, language books are super helpful, especially when you're learning a language with a different alphabet. And for me, in addition to trying to speak and not being afraid of mistakes, movies, TV shows, radio, it helps to make it part of your daily routine. As an audience member, a skating fan, and as a skater, Tessa Virtue and Scott Weir created so many wonderful moments for me. I love their connection with one another. I love how every performance felt like it was a special moment in time, a piece of art, and I loved watching them skate. When Britt comes to the East to visit me, not only will we be preparing our freestyle that we would have performed in the finale of Dancing with the Stars, but I am going to woo her with gluten-free pizza into choreographing 2 of my on-ice numbers. All of them. My favorite candy is saltwater taffy or the Haribo berries. I love cakes and macaroons and ice cream and pie and all the I feel like I have the same resolution every year. It's just to be happy. And I'm a positive person. I'm generally a happy person, but not always like down to my toes, just ecstatic with life. So I'm in constant pursuit of happiness. For the Dancing with the Stars finale, we were told by production that we would be redancing our cha-cha to Buttons by the Pussycat Dolls, and our freestyle would be The Story by Brandi Carlile after our original thought, I Hear a Symphony by Cody Fry, was declined. I luckily didn't suffer as many injuries as most people. I think it's because I started skating later and I already knew how to work my body and I wasn't pounding it at like 6 years old. But there was one whole season that I skated with a stress fracture in my tibia, so my bone was breaking in half. My youth? In all seriousness, especially for the young people watching this, life goes by so quickly, and there are so many moments that you're going to live through that you don't realize how important or memorable they'll be, so appreciate everything. I was 12 when I started skating, and most high-level skaters start at a much younger age, 2, 3, 4 years old, and I don't know how I got as lucky as I did. I just really worked hard and had to learn a lot very quickly. It's gonna be May! I was a huge NSYNC fan. I went to many of their concerts and had a huge crush on Justin Timberlake. Nowadays, BTS is pretty awesome. I have so much more rehearsal footage, but it's not all like acceptable for the public because Brit has a horrific potty mouth. Joking, obviously, but yes, more to come. All the performances were triumphant. They were all hard. It was all something that I'd learned in 5 days before you guys all got to see it. So I felt that they were all triumphant. But after the contemporary and after the Viennese waltz, I'd say I felt the most like. There was a choreographic moment toward the end of our contemporary where Britt and I kind of ran backwards looking at each other and then threw our arms up and ran past each other. And the look that we gave each other still gives me goosebumps. And I would relive that every day. For those of you who don't know, my broadcast partner Tara Lipinski and I had a podcast together called Tara and John. You can listen to it on iTunes. And we talked about everything from Windexing to dogs to current affairs. And it was so much fun and we loved doing it. But our schedules got really hard to nail down time to record the podcast. But it may come back. When I was in Los Angeles, my little brother and his wife welcomed their first son, Corey. I call him Knut. And I have not gotten to hold him yet because of quarantining and COVID and my travel schedule and stuff. But I have met him from afar. And he's very little and very cute. Such a nugget. Like everybody, I love a huge established luxury fashion house like Hermes or Chanel, but generally I wear either up-and-coming or lesser-known designers. This is Holtzweiler, a fashion house from Oslo, Norway, and I check not just a label for up-and-coming designers from around the world. A lot of attention gets paid to my clothes and the way I style myself, and I will never stop doing what I do because I love fashion, I love the style, I love the show. But when people don't take the time to get to know you and they only focus on that, you're seen as pretty shallow or vapid, and I am deep as the Mississippi, honey. Absolutely, and primarily with my feet, because in dance you have to use and undulate your entire foot. In skates, they're flat, and you only have a little bit of movement in your toes. So my feet especially are really feeling being back on the ice. I've done Pilates for years because it keeps me strong without making me too bulky, and I never get bored because there's so many variations on the exercises. But for me, fitness is not entertainment, it's not an activity, it's part of my job, it's something that I have to do, so you'll never hear me say, let's go for a hike! My favorite competitive performances were the Swan from 2006 Olympics and 2006 US Nationals, Autunal from 2005 US Nationals when I won my second national title, and my 2010 Olympics free skate to fall in. I'm generally a fit person, so that definitely is an advantage in every aspect of life, but dancing is a completely new sport. So, I mean, I still can't turn my head that direction because my neck and shoulder are still really messed up. But when it comes to Monday night, no one cares how injured you are, you give the performance. Обожаю гречку. Обожаю. Oddly enough, I've never thought about this because there are so many performances, whether it's on the ice or not, over the years that have touched me in so many ways. But the first thing that popped into my head like a lightning bolt was Christina Aguilera singing Beautiful at the Grammys in the suit. К сожалению, нет. Я не чувствую, что это зима. У нас нет снега, там тепло, там погода не очень приятная. Ну, у нас серое небо, и я обожаю. I did go to London a few years ago to meet with ITV about becoming a judge on Dancing on Ice, and unfortunately the season that I would have been a part of was filming at the same time as the 2018 Winter Olympics, and I couldn't be in London and South Korea at the same time, and the Olympics always come first. Still listening to Wonder from Shawn Mendes a lot. I'm listening to Moonlight Popolare from Mahmoud. He's an awesome Italian artist. I love his voice. What They'll Say About Us from Phineas. I Hear a Symphony by Cody Fry. Okay from Tima Belaruskich. I avoid them entirely. And if it's somebody that you have to be in contact with and has to be a part of your life, I send them emails with the final line, please advise. It's pomegranate season, so I love pomegranate juice. I love pomegranate seeds. It's really good for your energy. It's really good for your blood and keeping it oxygenated. Yeah. Pomegranates. Jabberwocky. So this is really hard. I love Moira Rose and I love everything she says. I love bebe, obviously, but my favorite word that Moira says is when she's doing the wine commercial and she says, a local vintner. This question asks how I'm going to celebrate Christmas. And for me, I was always training or competing on holidays, so they don't really, I don't have as many traditions as most people might. So for me, it's always about spending time with my immediate family and celebrating each other and eating a lot. For me personally, skating gave me an outlet, it gave me freedom, it gave me independence, it gave me strength, it gave me all of that stuff. But, you know, as somebody that loves to watch skating as well, my favorite thing is of course the musicality, but the speed that skating creates. You wouldn't believe the amount of times that we've talked about this, and we would do a free dance that's a mixture of Swan Lake and some sort of rap, because as many of you know, Tara really loves rap music, and it would just be awesome. This is one of the funniest ones I've gotten this week. I feel like we could live together. However, I love gluten and she can't have it. And also, like, I want her to have like a family and babies and a magnificent career. And I'm a hermit, you know? Look at me just sitting here for hours on end pretending I don't have assorted errands to run and holiday trinkets to purchase. But you guys, I love you all so much. Thank you for being a part of this quad, and I can't wait. And I'm looking so forward to our quad next weekend. Have a good weekend. Look who's been an audience member of the quad the entire time. Hello, Tiama. How sleepy are you? Hello, Baba. Hello.